And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Okay, flying weather for New Year's Eve, tomorrow, Tuesday. We've got IFR here across from the northern Bering Sea and on down just off the southwest coast there across Nunivak Island to the Alaska Peninsula. VFR behind that, and then farther to the west, some more marginal VFR. The interior looking mostly VFR, except for some IFR up here on the western Arctic coast. Marginal VFR, eastern slopes of the western Alaska Range, southern Kenai Peninsula, Kodiak Island, and east-southeast there across the southern Gulf and across Prince of Wales Island in the southern Panhandle. And then for the afternoon tomorrow, that area marginal VFR mostly in across areas of Prince of Wales Island, otherwise VFR the remainder of the southeast coast, North Gulf Coast. Interior, good VFR, IFR still, central western Arctic coast up there, and this area of IFR starting to pull back to the west a little bit here, just south of St. Lawrence Island, all the way down to the Alaska Peninsula. VFR behind that, and marginal VFR farther to the west. And this area continues to pull westward on Wednesday mornings, you can see here. So VFR, St. Lawrence Island, Nunivak Island, right into Bristol Bay, and marginal VFR for most of the Aleutians on up across Kodiak Island into southern Kenai Peninsula area, maybe southern Cook Inlet, and then across the Gulf of Alaska there to the south coast of the Panhandle. For the afternoon, VFR, all the southeast coast up into the Copper River Basin, northward there through the interior. Persistent IFR holding on the western Arctic coast, and IFR now slipping on up into southern Prince William Sound and right along the south coast of the Kenai Peninsula and through the Barren Islands of Kamishak Bay, with quite an area of marginal VFR over Bristol Bay, some of that into the southern Kuskokwim Valley, right down along the river there south of Bethel to the Alaska Peninsula and westward, all the way out to just east of Atka Island. And from there going to the passes. Looking pretty good everywhere throughout the state tomorrow. All the passes in the Brooks Range will be open. VFR also for the Alaska Range, Lake Clark, Merrill, Rainy. Windy, Isabel and Mentasta, wide open tomorrow. Good VFR, all those passes in the range. And for Tanita, same forecast, VFR flying there. And Portage, VFR, Chilkoot and White, another VFR day coming up. And then for the freezing levels here at the surface, still way up here in the Bering Sea, north of St. Matthew Island, and 2,000 feet just south of Kodiak Island, and then eastward there across Port Alexander and over Prince of Wales Island. And from there, looking at icing, again, weak frontal system out here with the associated moisture could produce areas of isolated moderate rime icing here just south of St. Lawrence Island into the southwest coast, down to the Alaska Peninsula, and then up to Kodiak Island and the Barren Islands, maybe even into Kamishak Bay there, and then also out here to the west with a system out there bringing a chance of icing mostly from Chitka Island to Shimia. And for the jet stream, upper high pressure here from the Yukon into the interior, so light variable winds there. For the Bering Sea, south to north flow here up to 80 knots. East-southeast winds, 75 knots there just south of Kodiak Island to the Alaska Peninsula. And taking a look at the 9,000-foot wind flow chart, southeast 65 knots there, clipping southern Kodiak Island, but blowing right into Bristol Bay, and then 45 to 55 knot winds from the south and southeast along the southwest coast and northern Bering Sea, and lighter winds over the interior as well as the southeast coast. And for the day on, or for 3,000 feet, high pressure here over the western Bering Sea, but that kind of swings back around to the east here. So we're still looking at southerly winds, 35 to 40 knots here over the eastern Bering Sea and along the southwest coast. Even stronger with this low here south of the Alaska Peninsula, slowly moving northward. 60 to 70 knot winds there from the eastern Gulf of Alaska, right across Bristol Bay, lighter in the interior. Easterlies 35 to 40 knots for the Arctic coast up there. And then most of the winds to the west of the Panhandle there. And for turbulence, with the outflow winds from the Arctic, or from Canada there, with a high pressure over the Northwest Territories. Look for considerable moderate mechanical turbulence here, especially for small aircraft over the northern panhandle, and maybe to about Yakutat. Otherwise, considerable moderate also for the southern Kenai Peninsula, Cook Inlet, Bristol Bay, the Aleutian Range, Kodiak Island, as well as the western Arctic coast.